Hello, my name is Philip Bloom, and welcome to my review of the Alpha 6500. Now, my British accent is terrible. This is Max. Welcome to my review, and now that Philip's gone, somebody else has to try to replace him, right? Well, it is 2:29 in the morning. I guess it's the next day past the last day of the Sony a6500 event, and I've been going through all of my footage and trying to get this review out for you guys. Sony lifts the embargo at 10 a.m. and I want to make sure it's done by then, and there's so much questions. A lot of people are interested in this, and if you respect the dedication, hit that like button. I definitely would appreciate it. These are very fun, but they're packed events, so if you have a business to run and you want to get some content out, you don't get much sleep at all. So this review is going to be a little bit different. The a6500 is very similar to the a6300, a little bit of changes, some new features, so I don't just want to make a video talking about the options or the settings for 4 minutes and that's about it. So I did something a little bit different. This is going to be like a vlog style video. I shot a lot of vlog style clips where I talked about different things as I was testing them, and you guys can see some behind the scenes style of footage, what goes on at these Sony events. So the audio is not great because the RX100 Mark V does not have a microphone input, unfortunately, but hopefully it's going to be entertaining for you guys to watch. Now, I do want to say that there's a very cool clip on my channel. You guys should go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. It's my entry to the Sony contest. I did win, and I am humble brag. I did put a lot of effort into it, and I didn't win last time in Miami. Jordan Drake won from the Camera Store TV, but this time I did take the prize. So go check that out if you haven't. It shows off what the a6500 could do. And the only thing I want to say is let's jump back to the first day of the event 3 days ago, and let's get started. Hey guys, so I just got done shooting here in the skate park in Austin, Texas. I used a gimbal mainly. I did some handheld with the a6500, and I was pretty impressed with it. The screen is actually a little bit dimmer. Jordan and I, Jordan from the Camera Store, compared it with the a6300, and it might just be the reflective layer for the touchscreen, but it's slightly dimmer, so it's even harder. You guys can see how harsh the sunlight is. It's even harder to see than the a6300, which already was terrible. That's really, really unfortunate. Moving on from there, the stabilization that's built in, I had that on the gimbal the whole time, and I'm not sure if that could help or not. I'm guessing maybe it could help for the vertical movement, which is hard when you're using a single-handed gimbal because it's lightweight. So I'll be looking over that footage, but overall it went well. I did test the 18-35 and the 50-100 at their tightest, basically at 35 and then at 100. The steady shot with that Sigma adapter works great. There's a massive difference of stabilization, but if you're walking with the camera and holding it, the 18-35 at 18, it doesn't seem great, at least what I saw inside the camera. You still see quite a bit of shake, so it's not going to replace like a gimbal. But we had some fun here. We're going to go grab some lunch and do some more shooting. So now you guys have had a chance to shoot at the skate park, and then in the morning, yeah. What are your first impressions on the camera? Any changes from the 6300 that you actually noticed real world, not just spec sheet?
I think right off the bat it's going to seem a lot like an a6300, right? Mm-hmm. Just the look, the shape, the design, the weight.
I mean, the stabilization, because I live on a monopod generally, right, does make all the difference, especially because the sensor, it scans so slowly that, it really helps negate that horizontal wobble.
Yeah, you were saying you really like that, yeah.
And
again, for the skate park shooting, mostly with a wide angle or ultra wide angle, you're not really getting much benefit from the stabilizer. Like, you don't see a big change for it. Touch AF, I use that quite a bit. So far I've been finding it touching the corner where I don't like to go. But first impressions, autofocus, basically exactly the same as the 6300.
I am having some trouble with the back display on it. Yeah. I mean, it seems even dimmer than the 6300. I mean, it's like looking at a calculator when you're out in the bright sun.
But we grew up with calculators.
Yeah, but we didn't use them with direct sunlight.
Well, I find it nostalgic, so. Okay? But
okay, fine. All right, yeah.
But yeah, it is dark, hard to see in the sun. We're actually, 63 was a little bit easier.
All right, Dan, now that you've had a chance to shoot with the 6500, any real world differences that you actually notice when you're shooting with it compared to the 63?
Yeah, so I've been shooting mostly photos so far, and I guess the biggest thing that I've noticed is the AF system has definitely improved. Everything I've shot has pretty much been backlit pretty extreme, and I had no problem pretty much locking on just about everything I've shot so far. So that was the thing that I've noticed so far that's been the biggest difference.
So Tapatio is aged 8 months in Jack Daniel's barrels. Most tequila, little known fact, most tequila is actually aged in whiskey barrels, if it has any age on it at all. So this is working out well, Max, because there's nothing more boring than knocking out a overheating test. It's a solitary pursuit.
I've done a lot of them.
Yeah, like a monkish kind of lifestyle. So we're both out here together. We've got a nice sample size, 3 6500s, 2 6300s, and we're gonna see when these guys start overheating. It's a hot sun, they're on a hot rock.
The A6500s, there's a mode to allow it to get hotter, and then it pops up a confirmation. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to keep track of how many times it's overheated in your warranty or what, but
it's there. So we turn that on and we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a critical shoot and you have to get that long record time, I guess it's a useful option. I'm just kind of scared of it.
It's lost a 6300.
Yep.
Good thing with the sample size this large, which one's out already, is what if there are manufacturing differences? And some are better than others.
We pretty much confirmed that there are at this point. Like some people have 6300s that overheat more consistently. So yeah, I mean, it's not a huge sample size, but I think it's useful. All right, so that's both of our 6300s done.
Only
down to the 65s now. So I mean, there's an improvement. There's no question there. We'll just see how much of one. Okay, this is like, I don't even want to touch. Good God, touch that. That's crazy. I'm surprised that's not like damaging the lens mount.
Oh my, yeah, feel at the top. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I mean, it doesn't turn the camera off, but this thing gets way hotter than I would ever be comfortable letting my camera get if you're running it this hot. So
we had our first A6300 off at right about 5 minutes, 4 minutes 59 seconds. The second one was at 9 minutes and 41 seconds. The second A6300.
Yeah.
Right about 27 minutes then.
Powered off, so I can't even check that file.
It's still too hot to turn on.
It is hot.
Yeah, it's extremely bright.
No, here's how we can differentiate our channels. I will say it is 29 degrees Celsius. And
I don't even know the equivalent in Fahrenheit,
okay,
sorry.
So for Max's channel, that is 85 degrees out here.
85 degrees in bright sunlight, direct, and on a rock, which also has a little bit of temp on as well.
It's a warm rock for sure.
We're about to reset these cameras and see how much longer they can last on the second flip.
So yeah, we're hitting the 29 on both of these, and now we're gonna flip it over. I feel like we're doing good work today, Max.
Yes.
Okay, we're standby. So let's trash that last clip. Oh, done.
Done?
Yeah, just turned off. Yeah, like waited till the end of the clip length. Okay.
So that one got through a half hour and it's gone.
So this is our champion model here.
Yes.
So they gave you the
so
gave you the best sample.
We know what happened last time at the Miami event.
They always give you the winning samples. Okay.
There we go.
In an attempt to skew your objectivity, but fortunately, my shitty camera came in and has rectified that.
That's probably why they invited me here.
Exactly.
It's their game plan to make sure that
they're like, he'll do the same thing again. He won't compare it to someone else's camera, but we foiled you, Sony. Your clever ruse has failed.
So the master camera, the copy that Sony provided me, is still running. It's been what did I say the time limit was on there?
We're at 21 now, so like 51 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting close to an hour of recording. It's still rolling. The temp logo has been on for a while now, ever since 25 minute mark, I think.
But it's and it is hot.
It is super hot. Yeah. But we have to go to another shooting event, and we just waited till the last minute. We can't wait any longer. We have to go head out.
Yeah.
But it's still recording.
I mean, what this says to me is that, again, we have sample variation with these 6500s, same as we saw with the 6300s, and that's frustrating, because you're not going to know what you're going to get out of it at the given time.
Yeah, and I think we agreed it's kind of safe to say you're going to get roughly 30 minutes out of it if you have that high temp mode on, shooting in the sun. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little more depending on the condition and your copy. Yeah. But this thing is lasting a while.
I'm
and
impressed.
we have a theory, like we mentioned already.
Yes, every time we go to a Sony event, Sony gives Max the air-cooled liquid nitrogen
yes,
battery
exactly.
model, where the rest of us get stuck with normie cameras.
Yeah. I learned my lesson last time not to call it out right away and be so confident.
Yeah.
Because not everybody else gets the version I get.
Yeah.
So. We just finished up shooting some lacrosse and some tennis here, so you guys saw some of that footage. And the camera is crazy in high-speed auto. You're shooting, at least in JPEGs, non-stop. The buffer basically doesn't fill. So if you're a sports shooter, that's a huge, huge improvement over the A6300. The autofocus, I don't think, got any better. At least I can't tell the difference, but it's already incredible. It does a great job. Tennis is really hard to shoot. I think lacrosse isn't as hard. It's really hard to nail that exact moment for tennis. So I learned that I'm not a very good tennis player, but I think I'm not the only one here, right?
Right.
So we're gonna move on to another event. I think basketball. Here's the shutter here in JPEG. Let's do a little bit of test. Sure, these are great shots. That's just ridiculous. I don't know if it's gonna stop.
Is it in JPEG?
Yeah.
Because it is probably not.
Oh, there you go. We're slowing down a little bit. Slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, I think they said total of 30 seconds.
That is ridiculous. Right now it's had 200 in the buffer plus everything that was clearing through, so really impressive on the buffer. Now we're here at a basketball game. We're going to be doing some tests with the cameras and getting to shoot a real game. Where I'm going to use the 85-1.4 and see what that can do. So far, test shots, it tracks so well, even wide open at 1.4 with the A6500. Now it's awkward. Crazy. So we just got finished with the basketball game. Halftime. Now we have to go to dinner. But I did mainly stills, and 85 tracks so fast. I gotta get used to looking here. Tracks so well for stills at 1.4, 1,000th of a second shutter, and I think about 2500 ISO. Did some 4K video, horrible rolling shutter. If you're gonna be panning, if you're just doing some slow tracking, it's not bad. Shifting over to 120 FPS, the rolling shutter is very minimal. So that's probably what you want to use if you're shooting, so you can slow down some of that footage, the best shots. And I did some 60 at 1080, and that, the rolling shutter, it almost seems like it's a little bit worse than the 120, but it is cropping in a little bit on the sensor. So for sports, you don't want to be shooting 4K. The rolling shutter is just too bad. Now the built-in image stabilization for video is fantastic. I had an 85 on there, which is about 130 equivalent, and maybe a bit more if you're in the 1080, 120 FPS, and just all handheld, and it looks really good, at least just at the back of the LCD screen. You can never get anything like that without that built-in image stabilization. Hello. Any major improvements, real world wise?
Yeah, the touchscreen, obviously. The touchscreen autofocus to track with your thumb.
How has that worked for you?
Works great. Yeah, yeah, it's really fast, especially when you're doing the lock-on flexible spot, and you can just go from one to the other and move it.
Yeah, I've only tried the medium and the large ones, but I felt like there's like a little bit of lag when you're adjusting the point. Have you seen that?
On this screen, on the other screens, I played with in New York, it didn't do that. So,
do you think it's a firmware thing, maybe?
It might be. Yeah, it might be new. I'm not sure, but that's
I'll play with it a little bit more today.
Yeah.
And photographers, what we do, we'll just warn you, this is, you've got cattle, you've got horses. We obviously are going to do our best not to get near you, but...
Alright guys, so I'm here at a rodeo. We had a concert last night. You guys probably saw some footage from that. Dinner, breakfast today. I did some little light stuff last night, but we're here. They're doing a variety of things, and it's a good test for the autofocus system. I shot some photos and some video, a mix of different frame rates for video. The photo autofocus is great, and that buffer makes a huge difference. It's the same autofocusing system as the A6300, but before you'd run out of buffer fairly quick if you're shooting at that full frame rate. Now you don't even have to worry about it at all. It's just incredible. Another thing I want to mention is that if you're doing some work with a Sigma adapter, some bigger lenses, or some of these like G Master huge lenses, that grip difference makes a world of a difference. 5 millimeters of a change, but now my large size hand fits perfectly. I'm not rubbing my hand into the lens or the Sigma adapter with my Sigma lenses, so I can comfortably shoot like this all day without having to worry. So small difference, but it makes a huge difference if you're actually using a camera with bigger lenses. So that is a great plus for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I want to just do a conclusion and cover a couple different topics. The camera itself did get better in ergonomics. That grip that I talked about, that does make a difference if you're going to shoot all day with the camera. Another custom function button, and some of the scroll wheels and stuff like that, they're a little bit stiffer now, and the eye cup doesn't pop off as easily. Those don't change as easily, so Sony made some minor tweaks that are definitely welcome. As far as the new features, the touchscreen, it's really kind of lacking right now. It's not as good as Canon, Panasonic, or Samsung. It's not as responsive, and it's a little bit laggy. Now, this could be a firmware thing that Gary Fong mentioned, that the New York one was better, so hopefully it gets a little bit better. It's usable, but it's just kind of slow, and it's not that much of an advantage of not having it at all. The rear LCD is actually slightly dimmer, and I did not think it could get worse than a 6300 shooting 4K. It's just impossible to see outside. Such a pain. That is very unfortunate. I really wish they were going to put a better screen in. That was my hope. They'd put a brighter LCD screen or fix the issue. That did not happen. So I wouldn't rely on the touchscreen. It's there. It almost seems like they added it because people are asking for it, just to put it on the spec sheet. Hey, we have a touchscreen now. Here you guys go. Maybe they kind of pulled a Canon. I don't know if I should say that, but it's late at night and I can't control what I'm saying as much as normal. So anyway, so the touchscreen is not great. Now let's talk about the image stabilization. It's wonderful. My biggest hope is that I can get some great shots with 18 to 35 with the Sigma adapter along with that 50 to 100, and it works. Like usual, the built-in stabilization, the sensor stabilization isn't great if you want to walk around, but if you're just hand-holding, wanting to get a steady shot, it does a great job. And it recognizes the Sigma lenses through the adapter, and It's wonderful. So if that's something that you are looking forward to, it works great. It's fantastic. On top of that, I'm a video shooter, but I did a lot of sports shooting here as well, as like you guys saw. And that buffer, oh man, no longer do you have to wait after doing a burst sequence for your photos to show up. It's way quicker to be able to preview them on there, but also just you could shoot for a really long time. So the autofocusing system finally has its match in the buffer. So if you're a sports shooter, this is a great sports shooting camera for the money. I shot with the 7200 f4 a little bit, the 85-1.4 wide open, and it tracked so well. And that buffer, it did a fantastic job. So if you have a 6000 or a 6300 and you want to get better, more accurate autofocus, or you want to be able to have a better buffer for your photos, this is it. This is a great improvement. So it's an hour and 15 minutes before this review can get posted. It's basically done being edited, but I had to add a few things in because I was just too tired and I spaced it yesterday. The low light, it really hasn't changed much. I did a direct comparison with the 6300, and it's basically the same. If you're really trying to look closely, the 65 looks slightly more detailed or slightly sharper, and the noise is a little bit more visible, the actual grain of the noise. The 6300s is a little bit more smeared or blurred, and I think it's just the noise reduction algorithm. So maybe they get tweaked a little bit, but either way, both cameras look fantastic for an APS-C size sensor. Now, another thing I wanted to mention is this review is just kind of a vlog style. We're not getting a ton of info packed in a short period of time like my usual reviews. Go check out my A6300 review. Almost everything applies to the 6500, other than the things that I mentioned here, and there's a ton of info packed in there, a ton of info. So if you're interested in this camera, you didn't see that yet, definitely go check it out. I'll put a link in the video description. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions, you guys can ask in that comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you guys want to buy this camera, I'm going to have some links in the description. That's what helps me keep making videos like this one. Sony does not pay us anything, unfortunately. No, they made some great events, and what I really like about Sony is their engineers are listening. They honestly want feedback to make their products better, even though they're leading the market, at least in the mirrorless side right now, and point and shoot, stuff like that. And these events, they don't just set up scenarios that are easy to photograph so everybody gets great pictures to show off. They're doing all these very difficult things, like all the sports stuff, like the tennis was impossible. They're pushing their cameras to the limits and beyond, and seeing what we could do and seeing what can get better. So as a company, I'm just really impressed with how they're doing all of that stuff. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys bought one of these, let me know. If you guys use my link, thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.